Hello, I'm William Reeve. I'm Chief Executive of Goodlord, the leading software platform for the UK's residential lettings industry. I have over 20 years' experience in the tech industry in the UK. I co-founded Fletcher Research, LoveFilm.com, and Secret Escapes, all of which became the leaders in their field. And I've been involved with other leading tech businesses like Graze, Nutmeg, and Zoopla. But I'm here today to offer 3 pieces of advice for chief execs as to how to build back better digitally as we emerge from lockdown. So my first piece of advice is to look for the lockdown positives. I know lockdown has been a real struggle for many. Often it's felt more like living at work than working from home, but it's also created opportunities. Many of us have been able to recruit from all over the country. We haven't wasted time traveling, and we've been able to be at home for the kids' bath time. So while lockdown has been a bore and none of us would have chosen it, remember to look for those positives and learn from them. And as we get, hopefully, able to leave lockdown behind us and start to return to offices, we're not going to be returning to office life as it was before the pandemic, before we'd even heard of COVID. Before lockdown, many of us would have found ourselves working from home and dialing into meetings. And dialing in was, let's face it, crap. It was crap for the person dialing in, who couldn't necessarily get the nuance of the meeting, couldn't make a full contribution. And it was crap for the people in the meeting, in the physical meeting, having some disembodied squawk box trying to participate. The buzzword as we get back to the office will be hybrid working. Hybrid working, trying to incorporate the best of what offices have to offer and what working from home has to offer. Offices have advantages for building relationships, cross-team collaboration, the serendipity and creativity that comes from people rubbing shoulders with each other. But working from home has advantages too. You can get your head down. You can make calls uninterrupted. You can avoid distractions and you don't waste time traveling. So the trick with hybrid working will be finding the best of both worlds. And the real issue is going to be making sure those people who are working from home don't feel like second-class citizens. So my second piece of advice is to abolish meetings. What do I mean by that? Obviously, meetings are a staple of the business world, and most businesses can't function without them. But physical meetings between colleagues and people who know each other well have been proven now to work just as well remotely, just as well on a video conference as they do face-to-face. And if you continue to use remote working tools like Zoom for running those regular scheduled internal meetings, it'll enable people who are working from home not to be second-class citizens, and it will enable you to be a more attractive workplace for people all over the country who would find having to work in your office impossible even. So let's do our best to embrace the best of both, create a level playing field, and abolish meetings. And thirdly, now that we're working productively in some hybrid working arrangement, what are we doing in particular? Well, I'm reminded of recently with all the news about Prince Philip, RIP, of a great quote of his, which was, what didn't get built by nature got built by engineers. Where does that leave the rest of us who aren't engineers? And building software has always required some programming skill, whether you're a teenage computer whiz or you've picked it up later in life. But the good news is that these days you don't need to be a software engineer to build digital workflows. And my third piece of advice is to check out some of the tools available that enable very sophisticated digital processes to be built without any technical skill or software experience. Tools like Zapier, Automate.io, or IFTTT, if this, then that. These tools enable very sophisticated processes to be built by people with almost no technical knowledge or experience. Most businesses these days have a social media presence, for example. And imagine that you want to automatically capture leads coming in, for example, from Facebook, and feed them into your sales team and your sales database. Tools like Automate.io will make that very simple for you. Or perhaps you're using Slack internally to communicate in your business, and you'd like any social media posts about your brand to be automatically put into a Slack channel so that you can quickly see what the social media is saying about your brand at any one time across everybody who's whose job it is to be aware of that. Again, tools like Zapier make that very straightforward. Or perhaps even you've got a venue with indoor and outdoor tables and you want to avoid the outdoor tables taking reservations when it's raining or when it's forecast to rain. Well, if this, then that, again, makes that very straightforward. So you don't need to be a rocket scientist. You don't need to have been a teenage computer programmer. You don't need to become an expert in artificial intelligence if you've got natural intelligence, because these tools are there to enable clever people to do very sophisticated things very simply. So that's it. Those are my 3 pieces of advice. The first piece of advice was look for the lockdown positives. The second one was abolish meetings to help avoid your colleagues who are working from home becoming second-class citizens. And thirdly, check out some of those modern tools like Zapier, Automate.io, if this, then that, which really make building digital processes almost literally child's play. Good luck.